Good morning. My name is Joe Duran. I'm Operations Section Chief with Rocky Mountain Complex Incident Management Team 3. We're on the Gwen fire today. It's July 29th. This will be the operational briefing. Currently, we're at 28,805 acres. And today we're expecting a change in weather from our last few days, higher winds, and a little bit drier conditions that are going to test our lines, but our folks are ready for that, and I think we're going to have a good day. So let's go ahead and get into the divisions. We're going to talk first about Alpha Division here, coming up out of the Clearwater River up to the north. Alpha's looked really good for a couple of days. Previous team work has done really well. We had assistance from local farmers getting some plow lines in. All of that line has held. So today we'll be continuing to monitor those lines and just cold trailing through there, just making sure there's no more heat on the line that could threaten for increased perimeter growth. Coming up to the Charlie Division, we have a similar situation in Alpha for most of it. As we get closer to Road 3, we did a recent burnout operation up there to tie the line down to the road. That's been worked on now for 2 shifts, or this will be our second shift. So we'll continue to work that area, control any heat near the line that could threaten northern progression, and we'll continue to work on that today. Coming up into Foxtrot. Foxtrot is kind of our most pressing concern on the fire right now in the sense of perimeter growth. Most of Foxtrot is in real good shape and similarly has a lot of line that's held for a couple days. But the Pine Creek drainage, the fire's gotten down to the bottom of Pine Creek, and we've been assessing options on how to deal with it down there. The intent here will be to keep it from progressing to the east. In other words, crossing Pine Creek. We don't want it to cross and stop northern progression. Our challenges are that Pine Creek's a pretty steep piece of country and are unable to put people into Pine Creek to actually go direct, what we'd call it. So right now we've been using aviation resources and will continue to do so as needed to just cool down the intensity of the fire in Pine Creek to prevent it from crossing. On the north side, we have a dozer line in place already. We're going to be monitoring the fire growth. There was an old burn, the Pine Creek fire from 2021, and so as the fire moves through that kind of newly regenerated fuels, it's moderated a bit. So the intent would be to allow the fire to grow to the dozer line and we'll secure it there. If we get increased fire activity, we have a plan to burn out off of our dozer line to control that and prevent it from crossing. Along the same lines, we have secondary lines in place coming from Clearwater River, coming up the steep part of the canyon, the dozer line, and then it ties into basically 3 disc wide fire line that was put in by our local farmers and agricultural helpers up there. They have run disc line that surrounds approximately 20,000 acres of wheat fields. So we have a line securing that and our scouting line to tie it back down to the bottom of the drainage on the north side. Again, that would be a secondary option where we would do a burnout of the Pine Creek Canyon to keep fire from spreading east as well as north out of the canyon. Let's move to Zulu. Zulu, we had some recent heat. Most recently, 2 nights ago, a burnout was completed that tied it down to the Clearwater River and to Highway 12. They worked that yesterday. We'll continue to do so today. We cleaned up a little burn, an additional burn last night, and so that'll be our focus, is to continue to mop up along this edge and make sure that's secure from any easterly fire growth. Fir Bluff, This is a lot of agricultural country again. Again, we've been helped by our farmers putting in disc lines around their fields, and we've been able to come in and do a lot of work along Fir Bluff. We'll continue to do so just to make sure nothing can come out and threaten those agricultural fields up there. That is a high priority in the community. Once we get out of the Fir Bluff area, finishing Zulu, it looks real good. It's just going to take a lot of monitoring. We got to get in there and actually look at every piece of ground along that edge and make sure that there's no heat that can still threaten fire growth. November, we're feeling real confident about November. A lot of those lines were put in early in this fire by both the original fire response resources and our local farmers, and they've all held well. So we have confidence in here, but we're going to be following it up. We have to follow it up with continual monitoring and checking. Into Romeo, a similar situation on the perimeter edge where we have good lines that were put in, everything is holding, and now we're just going through and securing that edge, making sure that everything is out cold, close to the edge. And then that brings us to structures and also kind of the meat of the incident as it is right now, and that is existing inside of this perimeter. The fire didn't just burn through continuously. There's a lot of unburned fuels. There's a lot of small areas, moderate areas of heat still in the drainages and the trees and the brush where we have still things burning, smoldering, and maintaining potential for future growth inside our perimeter, which in common cases we would not be terribly concerned with, but in this particular case we have 480 primary structures that exist inside the perimeter. So the thrust of the structure group, and then probably most of our incident going forward from after today, will be to ensure that inside this nearly 30,000 acre fire we don't have any fire potential that could threaten any of the existing structures that are in there, and we don't have any potential for large fire growth inside of our perimeter. That's a little bit unique to this fire, and so it's going to take a lot of tactical planning, a lot of very methodical progression through all of that area just to ensure that no chance of anything coming out to bite us in the coming days. Thank you, and have a great day.